Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Tokyo. My name is T. That was like really weird radio voice I did there. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to be looking at another yo-yo that I got from Duncan. This is actually quite a surprising yo-yo. I didn't expect to like this yo-yo as much as I am loving it. Today we're going to be looking at the Duncan Haymaker X. So does the Haymaker have the power to put you down on the mat, or is this one yo-yo that's going to leave you stuck in the ropes? Alright, let's take a closer look at the Haymaker X. So the Haymaker X has one of those pretty typical modern organic H shapes that we see in a lot of yo-yos these days, where you have the sharp rise up from the bearing and then it goes straight up, and then the rim here is very big and thick. This shape you tend to see on a lot of bimetals. I think it lends itself well to having a yo-yo with bigger rims, while you leave the inner body of the yo-yo a little bit more narrow. The cup is very flat. You see here that the stainless steel rims go a little bit into the actual body of the yo-yo. Then I guess they're press fit or something into here. As for the cup itself, it's very flat, but it's extremely smooth. It's a little bit rounded off here, similar to what I mentioned with the Grasshopper X. This isn't totally flat here. This feels a little bit bubbly. And then in the center here, you've got your flat cup, which is actually really good for finger spins. The material is 6061 on the body, stainless steel on the rims, and boy, oh boy, do you feel the weight differential in this yo-yo. It's pretty crazy. The feel is so comfortable. It does feel a little bit big when you first hold it. You can see here in my hand it's pretty blocky, but you're able to fit your finger in there nicely. I was pretty surprised after seeing the pictures of it. I didn't think it would be the most comfortable yo-yo, but it's actually very nice in the hand. And the look is amazing. This thing is really beautiful. There's a lot of different colors for the Haymaker X. There's pinks and greens and blues, and I think there's a black or something like that. And then the purple, which I've said before, I love purple yo-yos. This is really gorgeous. As far as I can remember, I think the Grasshopper X and the MKT that Duncan sent me were in purple, and as is the Haymaker X here. And boy, this purple is just really, really rich. As well as that, the stainless steel rims here are just polished enough to be absolutely gorgeous. Even on the inside here, they've got a really nice shine to them. This yo-yo looks spectacular in the sunlight. For a little bit of size comparison, here it is next to the Yo-Yo Officer and Osiris Aether. As far as width and diameter, it's actually pretty close to most yo-yos, and it might feel a little bit narrow at first, but I think that's just because of the way it looks. Because these rims are so big and have a lot of impact visually, it makes it look narrow even though it's not at all. So actually, I wasn't expecting to get a Haymaker X. I received this from Duncan. Brian Jardine hit me up on Instagram, asked me if I was interested in taking a look at it. He's such a nice guy. It was so nice of him. You know, all the folks at Duncan are super nice. They always talk to everyone. They're really community facing. It was really nice that Duncan thought of me, you know, even though, like I've said a billion times, Tokyo is not a business. I'm not in this to make money or to, you know, go out of my way to make videos for people. Now, the Haymaker X is based on Duncan's original Haymaker, which came out a little bit ago. And the Haymaker was, I think, pretty well received. It didn't completely blow people's hair back, as far as I know. It was a little bit undersized. I think they were trying out the bimetal stuff in the smaller size a little bit at first. So I kind of heard it was a yo-yo that you either loved or hated. I didn't really get a chance to play it. But with the Haymaker X, they went back to the drawing board and really wanted to soup this thing up and make it something really special. It definitely has a bigger size and bigger rims than the original Haymaker as well. And it's continuing the X series. You've had the Grasshopper X and the Haymaker X. I'm kind of hoping that they continue on this trend. I'd love to see like an MKT X or a Barracuda X, Origami X. I'd love to see them go to the drawing board and make all of their older, really reliable models into like these super powered, high-speed bimetals, these performance models. It's been really fun to see. In play, the Haymaker X is extremely special. The play on the string is confident and smooth. This thing is so smooth, even on a wobbly throw. It's incredibly smooth. Because of the bimetal, you're gonna get a lot of power. This is one of those bimetals where I feel like they couldn't have made it without the stainless steel rims. And these bigger rims on the slightly less 6061 body, the weight differential is huge. It kind of reminds me of the Iceberg from Yoyo a little bit, where the weight differential is so strong that you're able to get these crazy amount of room weight, crazy amounts of spin time, crazy amounts of stability. It kind of feels like a cheat code, actually. This yo-yo, it doesn't ever feel like it's gonna stop spinning. And like I said, because it is a full-size yo-yo, because it has that really nice performance HV shape, it's able to hit the string no problem. This is a really, really fun yo-yo to practice whips and slacks with. And it's really nice to practice with because it's one of those yo-yos that, because the spin time is just forever, you feel like you can keep practicing a trick without having to worry about binding it over and snagging and worrying about knots. Like, you can just keep going and keep practicing a trick forever because the spin just never dies. It's got a quickness and a float to it that is really, really fun that I don't usually expect to feel on bimetals. But at the same time, it's very light too. It has the same feeling as the Edge had, where the size and the way it looked really goes against the way it feels on the string and the way it feels on a throw. It's extremely light, and that's not a bad thing at all because of the weight differential, because like I said, it has tons of power. That lightness just goes hand in hand with it. It's just performance for days. The response on this thing is fantastic. I always talk about how I love the Duncan red stickers. These are white stickers. I don't know if they're similar in formula or what to those red stickers, but dang, these things are fantastic. Every string I've played with on this yo-yo has had no problem. It always has a beautiful bind, really, really good snap to it, and you never have to worry about it snagging either. Like, it's never snagged once on me. Grinds on this thing are absolutely fantastic because this smooth metal here, it feels very similar to the way the Grasshopper X feels as well on a grind. It's not as accommodating shape-wise as the Grasshopper X is. It's not as wide, but it just nestles your finger so perfectly on a finger grind. Finger spins are achievable on here. It has a nice flat cap. It's very, very ever so slightly convexed here in the cup, but that's not going to get in the way of finger spins at all. It's not designed for them, but you can definitely get them, and because it has a really nice response, you'll find that finger spins are really fun to execute on this. I gotta say, I'm really loving the Haymaker X. I did not expect to love this yo-yo as much as I am. I know that everything Duncan puts out these days is really fantastic and they work super, super hard. I know Brian Jardine and the rest of the team at Duncan is just hard at work, always making yo-yos that are excellent, fantastic performers. I know there's like a ton of testing and prototyping that goes into these, and it shows when they put out a product like the Haymaker X. You can tell they really thought hard about it. They really thought how to make the best possible yo-yo in the best possible way. There's not really very many failings with this yo-yo. Like, the more I've played with it, the more I've had time with it, the more I've absolutely loved every way that this yo-yo performs. One thing I should have mentioned at the beginning, I forgot to mention when I had it up close, but I love the engravings too. It's very similar to how it is on the Grasshopper, where the engravings are only on the rims, but here it's actually laser engraved into the stainless steel. So just like another step in class for Duncan. I just love the way that they design their yo-yos. I love the way that they keep their engravings mostly out of the way, and especially on this when, you know, it's designed for performance, designed to be a total beast. It's good to have stuff like the engravings just out of the way so you don't have to worry about any kind of performance issues. This thing spins forever. It's got a crazy spin time. Seriously, I don't know how long this thing spins, but it's been one of the first yo-yos I've wanted to actually spin time test to see how long it is, because it feels like it's crazy long. It's really stable. Again, that bimetal feel, they really achieved maximum stability with this thing. Power. This thing has tons of power. That's what bimetals are supposed to do, is they're supposed to be a little bit lighter but have a fantastic sense of power to them. I think this thing's right around like 65 or so grams, which is kind of the sweet spot for me. But at the same time, it doesn't feel too heavy. You'd think that adding a little bit of extra weight to a bimetal would kind of make it feel ungainly or, you know, out of hand. This thing feels like it's completely under control all the time. I like the way it looks. I love the color, not only the purple, but the way that these rims shine and glisten. They're really nice. They're not overly polished. They're just really gorgeous, classy looking rims. I love the finger grinds on here. They're really good. You guys know me, I love finger grinds, and this thing is no slouch in the finger grind department. Quality. This thing feels like it has fantastic quality. Like I said, again, with all of Duncan's offerings recently, their quality seems to be like at the absolute forefront. These things all feel fantastic and play great. It's just nice to know that they're putting a lot of work into how the yo-yo plays and how it feels in your hand, and making sure that it's not like a piece of crap that's gonna fall apart. It's really nice. Like, I feel like Duncan can really lead the way in quality control these days amongst the big companies. With Duncan yo-yos, I don't ever feel like I have to fear taking it apart. There's some companies where every time I take one of their yo-yos apart, I'm afraid it's gonna break on me. Duncan is never like that. I feel like I can take them apart, tune them, change the bearings, flip the axles around, and I never have to worry about it. It's just really nice to have that peace of mind. Smoothness of this thing, the smoothness! 10 out of 10 on a bimetal is crazy, and I think the only other bimetal that has ever been this smooth for me was the Yoyo Steel. That thing is absolutely dead smooth still, even though I've played it for, you know, a couple years now. But this one has got it matched in the smoothness department. And again, with the bimetal, to have, you know, two very distinct pieces of metal, especially of varying sizes and weights, especially looks like they're press fit on here, to have it that smooth, it's just insane. I like that the bimetal design here is actually going into the yo-yo. You can see here, it's not just a ring that was put on for funsies that they just slipped on. Like, I was really disappointed. A bimetal, I'm not gonna name it, but a bimetal I threw, I dinged it on the ground, and the ring just kind of slipped off. Like, the yo-yo was still one whole piece, but the ring just went whoop, and just kind of fell into the gap a little bit. And I was like, oh, it's just a ring that they kind of glued on there? That's disappointing. But here you can see that the bimetal ring is, you know, part of the yo-yo itself. Without that, it would kind of look like this little undersized weirdo. It's really nice to see like a bimetal design that's taken seriously and taken to the nth degree. For cons, I really can't think of too many, but one thing I can think of, and again, like I said, this was sent to me by Duncan, but the price, it's 120 bucks, I think, and that's pretty pricey. I know a lot of bimetals can get up there, you know, 100 is usually where I think a lot of them sit these days. They can get up to 150, 200 if you're looking at drop near and stuff like that, 250, 300, even more if you're looking at titaniums, but I do feel like this is one of those bimetals that does warrant the price. It's one like the Edge where I feel like if you paid full price for this, you would not be disappointed. It definitely feels powerful. It definitely feels quality. It definitely looks amazing. And, you know, that's all you really need from a bimetal. You need it to look nice and perform. That's what they're for. And I feel like 120 is a pretty fair price. Now, I'm not saying that's nothing. That is pretty expensive. But if you're in the market for a quality bimetal, you really can't do a lot better than the Haymaker X. In conclusion, this is a really great yo-yo. I've loved my time with the Haymaker X. I think it's a fantastic yo-yo. I love the way it looks. I love the way it plays. I love the engravings. I love that it's this really powerful bimetal. People these days can say, throw Duncan, and like, it actually means something again. Because I think there was a time when people were not as into Duncan and didn't feel like they were carrying the torch of the yo-yo like they should have been. And in the last few years, man, they have just blown the scene up. So many of their yo-yos are contenders. So many of their yo-yos you see at competitions all the time. So many yo-yos you see being thrown by other people from other companies even. That's how good they are. So it's just really cool to see Duncan just completely crushing it. All right, boys and girls, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave me a like, a comment, a subscription. I'd really appreciate it. And thanks so much for watching. Take care, have a nice day, and sayonara.